It's the Halloween season. If you've been on my channel for a little while, you'll see that I have a pretty strong affinity towards horror games. Both for this channel and for my personal enjoyment, I love single-player, story-driven video games, and so that usually means I end up playing a lot of RPGs. But when it comes to immersive art and storytelling, I think the next best genre is the horror genre. If you look back through some of my videos, you'll see that I've done reviews for games like Dead Space, The Callisto Protocol, Layers of Fear. Even if I'm sitting down to watch a movie by myself, I'm typically going to the horror genre. And I get that everyone is talking about the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I can't wait to play that myself. I just haven't gotten around to play it. However, I have been playing Little Nightmares. I totally missed the Little Nightmares train back whenever the first one came out. I never played it or its DLC or Little Nightmares 2, but we just got a brand new trailer for both Little Nightmares 3 and from the original creative team behind Little Nightmares, Tarsier Studios, we got a trailer for Reanimal. Little Nightmares has been on my mind for a little while, and I actually didn't even realize that I owned Little Nightmares. It was sitting in my PlayStation library. I've just never installed it or played it up until just about 2 weeks ago. So I finally got a chance to finish Little Nightmares and its DLC. So what did I think about it? Let's talk about it. Like I initially said, Little Nightmares was just something that fully went over my head back whenever it originally came out. But so many people online, I remember seeing reviews for the game, and even still to this day, Little Nightmares is kind of constantly being brought up as one of the better modern horror video games. And to my surprise, no, it's not a first-person survival horror game. It's nothing like PT or like Alien Isolation, or even games like Until Dawn or games of that genre. No, this is a platformer puzzle solver. Like I said, I heard the game was good, but I really had no idea what it was about. I never even really saw many trailers for the game. I really just kind of saw some screenshots here and there and maybe just some good reviews, but I really had no idea what I was getting into whenever I installed the game. But after seeing that trailer for Little Nightmares 3 and Reanimal, I don't know, I had that itch inside me to go and see what this series was about. I actually went on to howlongtobeat.com just to see, give me an idea, how long are these games? And they're all really simple, bite-sized type video games. I figured that I could play it at least within a week. And yeah, I did get to finish the game in about 5 or 6 hours, both the full game and all of the DLC combined. And I really, really loved the entire experience. In fact, I enjoyed my experience with Little Nightmares and all of its DLC so much that I went ahead and got the mobile app Very Little Nightmares as well, just because I can't get enough of this world. Everything to do with the prequel stuff and Little Nightmares 2 and even the comic books and all of that. And I've just been kind of going in on the wiki as well just to get more information about the lore that's kind of here in the game. I don't want to get too into the weeds on all that stuff, and I want to get more into games like Little Nightmares 2 before I really jump into that sort of stuff. But man, I am really, really digging just all of the world building that this whole series has done so far. I'm a big fan of games like Journey, like Hyper Light Drifter. If you're able to tell a story that is pretty much explicitly only told from a visual point of view and not really told through any dialogue whatsoever, and you can kind of grip me with that type of narrative, I think that you've made a phenomenal piece of art. And that's really just my entire feeling about the first Little Nightmare game, as well as, the DLC and all of that stuff. I really, really enjoyed how its story is told to me without any words. From what I'm able to gather from its plot here, you play as this little kid. From what I hear on the wiki, I think it's a little girl named 6, I believe. Maybe it's a 9. I can't quite remember. It's not like it's really told to you explicitly in the game who these characters are. It's just as you're going through the whole game and you are essentially traveling throughout this ship, coming into contact with workers on the ship, like janitors and things like that, and other people who are just boarding the ship, like as a cruise ship of some sort. It's not totally explain to you all that much, but the more that you play and the more that you just have interactions with these rooms and these characters, and the more you solve puzzles and you're just staring at these environments for a long enough time, you really do start to kind of put together your own story in your head. So even if there is, you know, this very well thought out narrative that has very specific plot points here and there, I think so much of the fun from playing this game and trying to understand its story comes from you deciding on your own what character motivations are, what's going on this boat, who these people are, what you're doing, what you're trying to do, where you came from. All of that stuff is kind of left up to the player's imagination, and it's something that I really enjoyed about its overall narrative. There's really not a whole lot else that I can say about its story. It's there, but it's really just for you to try to put together yourself, and I love that. And as far as platforming, puzzle type video games, I wasn't expecting to be as scared as I was actually playing this game, and I feel like I kind of did it the right way. I played this game with my stereo system on, basically when everyone was asleep upstairs, and I was downstairs just playing the game away, you know, just in a dark room all by myself. I feel like that's exactly how this game is designed to be played, and man, just the atmosphere is incredibly bleak and ominous, and it's just so interesting, and at times it can be very beautiful. At sometimes it can be a little hard to really understand what's going on, but just from an atmosphere just aspect alone, it's fantastic. I'm just thinking about the sound design here, and just, man, for a game like this, and like I said, the way that I played it, just in a dark room with just a good sound system, maybe you're playing with headphones on or something like that, I think the sound design here is immaculate. It's wonderful. It is exactly the type of sound that should be in a game like this. It's creepy. It's very eerie. It's going to put you on the edge of your seat. Anytime that it's silent, you just can't help but just feel, okay, this silence has to break at some point. Like, what's going to happen next? And like I mentioned with its platforming and puzzle design, as well as just with some of the atmosphere kind of being so dark, sometimes it is hard to see what you're doing. There were a handful of moments where I died simply because I didn't know where I was jumping to, or maybe I was trying to balance on something and then fell off the side. So situations like that often killed me. But a lot of the game is also trial and error. There's going to be a ton of moments where you're either going to die from an enemy or a threat in the room, whether it be electric water or falling off a ledge to your death or something like that. So much of that is trial and error. Really, my only big complaint with that stuff, other than maybe some areas where I just couldn't see what I was doing and then I ended up dying, I felt that the kind of loading or recovery animations could have been a bit quicker. Let's say if there was a checkpoint right before an area where I continuously kept dying due to a lot of trial and error, it took a long time for the actual game to load me back into that part to try again. So if I had to try a dozen times, it would take me a really long time to do it, just because so much of my time was stuck waiting for the game to start me over. But this isn't Dark Souls or anything like that. Besides maybe one portion at the very end of the game, there's not necessarily bosses or anything like that. A lot of the game really is just how good is your timing, how good are your puzzle solving skills, and how well can you just make it from point A to point B. In between all of that stuff, there are pitfalls and things like that, but it's not necessarily a hard game, I would say. But I did really enjoy the base game. Even just the little ambiguous ending with your little character coming out onto this lighthouse area. I don't even really know what to make of it, but I'm so incredibly excited to see where this series goes next. I actually ended up loving it so much that I went and paid for the DLC. The version of this game that I was playing was a downloadable PlayStation Plus version that I got back whenever it was one of the free games of the month, and it's not like the complete edition or anything like that, so I got the base game for free. But because I enjoyed it so much, I went ahead and shelled out the $10 for the DLC because I just wanted to play more. I loved it. It was a very short and sweet experience. I wanted more. and I loved the DLC that came with it. One of the negative things though that I'll say about the DLC, I didn't capture it on footage, but this was the only part of my entire experience where I encountered a couple of different bugs, and at one point in time, the game did crash on me and I had to restart. In the main game, I didn't experience any bugs, but when I was playing the Maw DLC, there were just a handful here and there. Like I said, other than the one game-breaking bug, nothing was too crazy, but it was when I really started noticing some of those blemishes. But I'll also say, as far as a puzzle solver goes, this DLC really is the part of the whole package that really does test your puzzle solving skills, particularly the third act of this DLC. This final portion has you going through this whole library sequence, and it is a genuine test of your puzzle solving abilities. I didn't necessarily feel like the base game or any of the other parts of the DLC were necessarily holding my hand, but I found myself not ever needing to look up what I needed to do, all the way up until I got to that very last episode of the DLC, where I was like, okay, I think I need to find a guide here because I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And these puzzles are designed very well. If you're able to do it without looking up a guide, I really highly suggest that you try to do that. However, absolutely no shame to you for trying to look up a guide. It does start to get pretty complex in that final episode. But yeah, as far as Halloween season games go, if you have not played Little Nightmares yet, if you're like me and just for some reason this just completely flew past your radar and you've been playing other stuff, I get it, but at the same time, how could you? You know, this is a game that you absolutely need to play. And like I mentioned with Little Nightmares 3 coming out, I think that now is a perfect time that you should be playing Little Nightmares if you haven't yet. Or maybe you're someone who has played Little Nightmares. Are you replaying it again? Is this kind of a seasonal game for you? Is this kind of a comfort game? I can definitely see how this gained its cult following that it has, and I can definitely see it as kind of a comfort style horror game of this genre. It's creepy, it's a little weird, but I kind of really love it, and it's really endearing. So I really like this game. Like I said, I'm playing the mobile version of the very Little Nightmares game, so I'm just really loving this world. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below, have you played Little Nightmares? What other horror games are you playing? You're probably not playing Little Nightmares right now. Maybe you're playing Silent Hill 2. How are you liking the Silent Hill 2 remake? I've heard nothing but wonderful things about it, and I can't wait to play it. It's been so long since I've jumped into Silent Hill, so I'm pumped for that sort of stuff. But in the meantime, I love playing these little games like this. If you're looking for a Halloween game to play right now, check out Little Nightmares. It's very short, very sweet. You could probably beat it in a day if you were really just, you know, good at puzzles, I guess. But at least in a weekend, maybe a week, you could definitely just knock this game off your backlog. I definitely think that it's worth it. So yeah, with all of that said, why don't you go down in the comments below and let me know all of your thoughts. Also, while you're down there, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell as well, so that you're notified whenever new videos like this go up. Also, while you're down there, go ahead and in the description box, join the Discord. There's a ton of other people in there who are like-minded individuals like me and you who love story-driven games, who like a lot of horror games as well, love RPGs. If that's you, go ahead and join the Discord down below. But yeah, with all of that said, I love Little Nightmares, and I'm pumped to finish Very Little Nightmares and jump into Little Nightmares 2 and probably play through all of the DLC there as well, just to get ready for both Reanimal and Little Nightmares 3. So with all that said, I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.